you nerds! Welcome to a quick Marcelian update on the Q4 earnings call that was just live a couple of hours ago, depending on when you watch this video. And if you don't know what the Q4 earnings call is, essentially every quarter of the year, Activision Blizzard has to publicly talk about their financial status, their profits, their losses, what were their goals, what they achieved, what they didn't achieve, how they plan to fix the issues, what is their plan in the future. This is usually mainly a financial talk, but of course it translates into game development because they might, and we all know that Activision hadn't had its greatest year in terms of PR at the very least. They will probably have to justify the coming year with maybe new releases, new games, new directions for their company, and some of them happened, some of them didn't. So I'll go over mainly what I think the most important bits of the Q4 earnings call were. I'm going to go over the not so good parts first from my personal perspective. So again, this is what I think. This might not be the case. I'm probably biased. I am biased, but this is coming from my filter. So take what I say with a grain of salt, try to judge it through your own filters, and see if it's good or not. But I'm gonna go over what I think is the bad of the Q4 earnings call for us as players. And then we'll talk about the good, because there were a couple of good things. The first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the bad is the major layoff that you probably already heard about for Activision Blizzard, where they fired or laid off about 8% of their employees, total employees. 8% for a company as big as Activision, that is a huge number. The somewhat bitter upside to this is that among those 8% there were no people, no employees from the development teams of any games. Yay! But again, it's really shitty, and to all of you guys who lost your jobs, I'm really sorry about this. I feel for you. Blizzard is one of the companies that most of us grew up with and we love, although in the recent years maybe not as much, but hey, still, all of the games that were made by Blizzard are made by passionate people, and every person that's working there, I cannot feel that they're passionate about the game. I'm sorry for you guys. And one example of one of these people being laid off is Caden, the WoW Classic liaison. You might know him as Yithans. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, man. You might have heard from him from Q&As, you might have seen his blue posts on the forums. A very active and outspoken person, especially for WoW Classic, and it's shitty. It's shitty. We don't know yet how many more people from the community side of things were laid off. We're probably gonna find out eventually, and yeah, it's shitty. I don't like it. But what you gonna do? Life goes on. It's that might sound a little bit insensitive. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I don't mean anything by it. Now, the main thing that they started the earnings call with is Call of Duty, because of course Activision Blizzard is not just Blizzard, it's Activision entirely, and they spoke about two main games that they do. One of them is Call of Duty. Of course, they had to mention that Call of Duty Black Ops 4, I think it is. Jesus, how many more are they gonna make? Call of Duty Black Ops 4 had amazing sales up front when it released, and we all know that. I know I was surprised, but of course it kind of fell off in the coming weeks and months, and well, we all know that as well, at least some of us do. And they view that as a success when it comes to upfront sales. And their plan for Call of Duty later this year, which also, although I don't really care about COD that much, it does kind of paint a direction that Activision Blizzard is going, and they're gonna release a Call of Duty mobile game. Call of Duty mobile game. Okay, it's gonna come, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's gonna be late fall. They of course didn't specify a specific date, but again, mobile gaming, and they're looking to create a Call of Duty league, kind of like the Overwatch league for esports, which I'm personally down for. I like esports. I want more games to be competitive, and for people to have jobs in esports. That's really, really cool. And although I don't really care much about COD, go for it, man. COD League, I'm down. But the mobile gaming, why do I think this is bad? Because, okay, mobile gamings are not bad. If people want to play on their phones, whatever, play on your phone, man. I don't care. But if it kind of feels, and it might be wrong, but this is how I feel as a player, it feels like they're taking away from developing or from perfecting their PC games to develop mobile games. That's how I feel as a gaming. When we have an expansion such as BFA, with the kind of content that we have right now, and we keep hearing from them that, oh my god, mobile is so good, it's our future, we have so many projects in development at the moment, it kind of feels like WoW is not taking that seriously anymore. And when you see their focus and excitement about other things, it just tells you that, hey, yeah, we're gonna take something off of WoW and make some other things. So that's what I have problems with. It might not be this, but that's what I think. And of course, we cannot speak about mobile without speaking about China. And they repeatedly mention that China is a really, really good market for gaming. And maybe that doesn't say much to you, but Chinese gamers and Chinese gaming in general is very heavily focused on mobile gaming. And you probably already heard about the Diablo Immortal having a partnership or some kind of collaboration with NetEase, because NetEase is developing a big part of Diablo Immortal, which is the mobile version of Diablo. And of course, that's just a start. We see it now with COD Mobile, and who knows what other franchise will see their mobile respective games, which again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but as long as they don't take away from the main game, from the PC game. I say main game, but it's the PC game, right? So as long as they don't take away from that, go for it. They mentioned, of course, that they're refocusing their business model. They try to eliminate any unnecessary complexity. Now, it makes sense from a business perspective to eliminate unnecessary complexity, because complexity can increase costs of production. This is kind of like a gray area to judge, because on one side, yeah, if you can reduce costs from unnecessary complexity and develop the games better and put more effort and more concentration to what actually matters, great. But if that complexity is something like community management, that's kind of shitty. That's maybe what led to people being laid off. But again, I mean, I'm not sure pragmatically how much community management impacts a game's development, but of course impacts the perception of the game and the perception of the company. And that's also important, because we've seen the stocks drop after very negative releases of games, because we saw it as shit, we as the community. And if they don't manage us, alright, moving on. They are also focusing on new monetization models. And again, you cannot say new monetization models without thinking of microtransactions and in-game shops. They've mentioned repeatedly that Candy Crush is a really good example of a really good monetization system, and Candy Crush, as far as I know, is a free-to-play game, and I actually didn't even know that Candy Crush was under the Activision umbrella, but hey, it is. And they've praised it. They had a lot of success with its monetization model, so whatever. Candy Crush is a free-to-play game, it has in-game shop, fine. However, they try to implement this monetization system to other games. That remains to be seen, because we already have an in-game store for WoW, a game that we pay for, a game that we subscribe to, yet still we have content that we have to buy separately. Which again, I don't have too much of a problem with. I don't like the fact that I cannot get the content in-game unless I pay for it, although there is an argument to be made that I can buy them with a gold and a WoW token, but hey, that's now, but who knows what's gonna happen in the future. Who knows if certain content will be locked strictly to be bought with real cash and not in-game gold. Many people might have hoped that we would hear about new things to come this year, because of course Activision Blizzard had a really rough 2018, at least from our perspective, but they've stated that there will not be any new major frontline releases. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's probably refers to things like a WoW expansion or a StarCraft 2 expansion, things that add more to their major IPs, so we're not gonna have any of that. That doesn't mean we won't have Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 was already announced, but apparently Warcraft 3 and WoW Classic as well, from our perspective, are not considered major releases, although they are pretty good. We've at least have been asking for WoW Classic for quite a while, and Warcraft 3 Reforged has seen more positive feedback than anything else announced at BlizzCon, so yeah, no new WoW expansions this year, no new big content releases for Overwatch apparently, unless Overwatch expansions or anything DLCs or add-ons that they try to add to Overwatch is not regarded as frontline. So who knows, we'll have to see. And another very, very painful thing that they mentioned is that 2018 was a record year in terms of profits. Now, again, record, I'm not very savvy in economical terms. I'm not sure what this means financially. They view 2018 as a very good year financially after they've laid off. Okay, so this kind of statement happening after they mentioned that they laid off 8% of their employees is kind of shitty. But hey, 2018 was indeed a record year in terms of profits. Then maybe we haven't been playing the same games. Again, bias here. But hey, and 2018 basically presented Blizzard and Activision Blizzard with an opportunity to develop their games to PC, new opportunities of developing games on mobile, and geographical expansion to Asia specifically. They mentioned this, that 2018 was a very good year and 2019 is a very good opportunity for them to expand their game development on PC, mobile, they specifically mentioned mobile, and a geographical expansion specifically to Asia, because Asia has been seen as a really profitable market for gaming. Now, this isn't to say that all Asian gamers are strictly mobile, of course not. We know Korea is very big on esports when it comes to StarCraft, League of Legends, and other games as well that I might not be personally familiar with. So that's not necessarily mobile, but the mobile gaming scene is a lot bigger in Asia than any other part of the world. We all know this. This is not a secret. So again, it's really worrisome because everything points out to more mobile focus, more mobile gaming, which I can probably say for most of us is not something that we're terribly excited about. But that's what's gonna happen. That's what people at Activision Blizzard are viewing as the future. And essentially, they've mentioned it a couple of times that 2019 will be a transition year. Transition from what? From what was previously to a company that makes games for all platforms. They've mentioned that they're trying to extend to as many platforms as possible. They didn't mention platforms specifically, but we already know that Diablo is on Xbox and PlayStation and on Switch. And who knows, maybe more games will be coming to more platforms other than mobile and PC. I mean, that's great from a company perspective, but hey, don't forget about us, the PC gamers. We helped you get where you are now. And with the transition year mentioned, we can transition to maybe the better things that happened and were mentioned in the earnings call. Again, talking about staff and employees, they've mentioned that all major franchises will see a 20% growth in development and staff development teams. Those franchises being Warcraft, Diablo, Hearthstone, Overwatch, and Candy Crush. Sorry if I sound condescending and rolling my eyes, but Candy Crush? Okay, it's fine, it's their game, do it, whatever. But that's good news, right? 20% more people joining the development teams for these franchises, especially we're going to talk about Warcraft. What does that mean for Warcraft? Do those 20% are strictly going to go to WoW Live, to WoW BFA? I doubt it. Are they going to go to WoW Classic? I doubt it. It's probably going to be bits and bits here and there, but mostly what I believe is the biggest chunk of that 20% will probably go to a mobile version of WoW. This is my speculation. It wasn't stated, it wasn't publicly mentioned, so that's what I believe. If not, if they're going for if they're all going to WoW BFA, then super awesome, man. It's our game. We want it to be better. Do it. Yeah. And they've mentioned again specifically a growing Overwatch team, because Overwatch has been a concern lately. It was a roaring success when it was released, but it kind of dropped off in a couple of years. No major content releases, a new hero here and there, a new map here and there, which is fine, but in today's gaming standards, that's not enough. That's so not enough. And they know this, and they don't plan on sacking Overwatch. They will plan on making it bigger. So great, Overwatch is a fun game. It's not my main game, I just play from time to time, but I love playing it. It's fun, I like to watch it. It's fun to watch esports, I mean. So yeah, put more into Overwatch. Good for you. And another phrase that I want to talk about is what they said is that they're aggressively hiring talent, mostly for the development of the games. As far as I was made to understand, is that they're aggressively hiring talent, which is good news. I mean, however way you look at it is good news, but of course this is very vague. What does aggressively hiring talent mean? The 20% growth in the development of the teams for the major franchises? Is that aggressively hiring talent? Is it something more than that? Who knows? It's vague. It doesn't really mean that they're gonna be held up to it. It doesn't mean that they're gonna accomplish that. It's just something that they mentioned. And of course, this is not a general PR press conference or a Q&A on Twitch or anything like that. This is a Q4 earnings call. They have to publicly mention these things to justify incentive for investors, right? So I kind of tend to believe that this is their prerogative, their objectives for 2019, so yay. And the last major thing that they mentioned, and this is actually something that brought me a lot of hope, and I really hope this is not just some passing statement that they do, but they said that they're gonna refocus the entire company on returning to the cores of their franchises, or something along these lines. I might have paraphrased it a little bit, but this is the main idea, is that they're refocusing on their franchises. This is great because we've been seeing Diablo, Warcraft, Hearthstone trail off a little bit in the last couple of years from what they originally were, from what we originally fell in love with. So they know this, even financially. So that's good. Let's see them put this into action. Let's see WoW come back to its former glories, maybe new heights. Do it. We want it. Now, at the end of the Q4 earnings call, there was a Q&A section, and I'm not going to talk about all of them because some of the questions were really boring and really technical. Not something that, let's say, usually players would be interested in, but two of the questions were kind of okay-ish. One of the questions that was asked was, what is the management doing to put Blizz back on track, Blizzard as a company, from a perspective of a gamer that Blizzard kind of fell off? And I think J. Allen Brack answered this, but I'm not 100% sure. So essentially what he mentioned is that they're going to have they've been working steadily, and they're going to have going into 2019 a new leadership team. And they said really pretty words like they believe in the future, they have fantastic IPs, big opportunities, and of course we've heard about the opportunities in mobile gaming in Asia. Okay. They did mention that they have two main goals: to make excellent games, which usually this was a really cool thing to hear from Blizzard, but lately maybe not so much. We don't really believe in this statement as much as we once did. And the second main goal is to increase the content they deliver to us, the gamers. And the second thing is that they want to increase the content being delivered to us, which is again good, but it's not as much as the problem is not quantity, the problem is quality. So I hope they know that. We don't want more shit. We just want better shit, at least speaking for myself. And another question that I want to talk about, and this is not particularly a good question, but it was a frightening question, is what plans does Activision have for mobile gaming in 2019? What's going to be new on mobile gaming? And although they didn't answer specifically, they did say a couple of things that pretty much sums up the direction of the company. They said mobile gaming is a top priority for them at the moment, mobile game development, and that it currently consists as the largest opportunity for the future, which if you think about it, technically it is true. Mobile gaming is very lucrative. There's a lot of money into mobile gaming, and considering that so far Activision Blizzard is very, very restricted into mobile gaming. What? Candy Crush, is that it? I don't know if they have any other IPs in mobile gaming now. So anything for mobile gaming in the future that they develop more games is basically a huge opportunity. But again, fine, do your mobile thing, but don't forget about us. Don't forget about us, Blizzard. We love WoW. We love Blizzard, what it used to be, what it used to represent. It looks like some of the things might be coming back on track, but again, I'm still on the fence. So what do you guys think? Hit us up in the comment section below, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media. We're gonna try to update you guys with every new thing that happens, everything that's gonna be announced right here on Marcelian Online. And until next time, guys, I've been Flame, and I'll see you next time.